Who does our enrollment projections, and how do the enrollment projections today compare to what we were looking at in 2018? And how confident are we as we look going forward at the accountability and the accuracy of these projections?
This is an excellent question with several parts to it. So I'm going to do my best to answer all parts. The reference to the enrollment projections in 2018 was actually from a report from a company named Future Think, who the district hired in 2017 to do enrollment projections. We used those projections in 2018 up until 2020, at which point the district shifted over to a different consulting company that at the time was called Cooperative Strategies. And if you've been listening to our presentations, you've probably heard us say Cooperative Strategies. They were recently sold and is now called Woolpert. These companies, specifically Woolpert, is a national firm that does redistricting and projections for districts all over Baltimore, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and so on. So they really know what they're doing. Now, how do they project growth? When they come in, they look at a selected average or weighted average using a statistical distributional theory method. What that does is it provides the district with low, medium, and high enrollment projections. We tend to use the moderate projections because we have found over time that those are the most accurate. Now, there's a caveat there because the high enrollment projections with our most recent report could come to fruition just depending on the development in certain parts of our district. But right now, we're looking at moderate. The question was, how do they compare those 2017, 2018 numbers with now? The numbers in 2017-18 were actually slightly higher, the projections were, than what we have enrolled right now. But what's interesting is there were some grade levels that were almost spot on, just 2 or 3 students off. But there were some other grade levels that were off in a more substantial way. When these companies come in and do projections, I think it's important for people to know it's not just a guess, right? It's not just throwing something against a dartboard and putting it on a spreadsheet. These companies look at census data. They look at housing patterns and interest rates, new building permits. They look at active and planned residential development. They study units that are constructed and units that are occupied. They look at whether units are single family or multifamily, and if they're multifamily, what that actually means. We have some multifamily apartments in our community where there's maybe 1 or 2 students that come out of them. We have multifamily apartments, though, where there's 3 or 4 students that might come out of one family living there. Companies also look at live birth count, which, by the way, is based on the residence of the mother. They look at something we call transiency, which is the 10-year changes as students move through our system. And really what that looks like is the likelihood that a student starts in kindergarten and is still here in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. They look at birth to kindergarten and birth to first grade data that tells us when a student is born in the Dublin City Schools, do they attend kindergarten and first grade here? So that's just a look at some of the things that they study. All of this is done with all of the different areas that are captured with Dublin City Schools. So you've got Delaware County, Union County, Franklin County, right? Then you have all the townships: Concord, Jerome, Washington, Norwich, and Perry. You have Shawnee Hills, City of Columbus, City of Dublin, and a tiny little piece of Upper Arlington. So it's a massive job to get these projections put down on paper for us. And to have accurate numbers, a projection must be done frequently. Now, historically, Dublin only did a projection study when they were coming up on a levy, maybe, or when they saw unprecedented growth. We committed, thanks to Mr. Kern's help, to have Woolpert do a study for us every year for the next 3 years, just to keep track of how quickly enrollment is rising. And so that's where we were able to get it so specific to about 270 students joining us every year. It's important to know, though, the projections are just that. It's not an exact science. It's taking the best information that we have and just projecting growth. Many, many, many things can change over the course of a projection report. What they did not know, Future Think did not know in 2018, was that Intel was coming, that Amazon was going to really develop a presence here. We didn't know about some more hospitals being built, right? So whenever jobs come, here comes families and here comes students. We're really happy when we have new students join us. We're proud of our district. And so the growth is not a bad thing. We just have to really prepare ourselves for it and look far ahead. So long answer, but thank you for a complicated and often misunderstood question. I appreciate the opportunity to clear it up.
And we get asked a lot, where is this going? And, I think when we look at the most recent projections, we max out in about 2035. So we've got another decade plus of space as we move forward.